Welcome to the Shake Up Podcast. I'm your host and co-founder of Mr. Consistent, Jarrad Bell. This is a podcast where we invite friends of the brand into our studio. We get to know their story a little bit better. We chat all things business, culture and marketing, all while shaking up a few cocktails. This week, I got to sit down with my very good friends and co-founders of Mr. Consistent, Jeremy Davidson and Michael Sebire. We took a trip down memory lane, delving into a journey from an idea to then creating and scaling a business during a worldwide pandemic. We give our listeners a closer look as to who we are and what we are all about as a brand, as a business, and individuals. Let's get into it. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of The Shake Up. Today is an absolute banger. It's redemption. We tried to record this one time already. We're going at a second time because last time we got way too sloppy drunk.
Yeah, it wasn't good. It wasn't good listening last time out.
We're shooting a daytime recording for this one.
What's the time now? It's like 11:30 to 12 o'clock, so hopefully we won't get too day drunk today. But in the studio today, we have my co-founders, Michael Sebire, Jeremy Davidson. Welcome.
Thank you. Oh, thanks, guys. That's very nice.
Welcome to the room. How's it feel to be in here again?
Good. Different to last time. Hopefully it's more interesting.
We had one or two beers before we even stepped in here last time.
Yeah.
I have a vague recollection of last time, so it feels new and exciting.
I guess we're going to get straight into it because we want to do, like, Jeremy, you had the original idea for Mr. Consistent. Where did it come from? Because I obviously know the backstory, but a lot of people don't. And the way you then pitched it to me and Mikey to get us on board.
Sure. So I guess, my background in hospitality and working in venues all over the world and owning them and all that kind of thing. And I love cocktails. I drink them at home. It was one of these kind of aha moments where I go, I just wanted an easier way for cocktails to take place in my venue.
Yep.
But then also when I'm making them at home, kind of squeezing limes and waking up a little bit hungover after too many cocktails and going down to the kitchen and going, oh shit, what happened last night? You know, it just kind of
the cleanup
stemmed. Yeah, the cleanup's not fun. So yeah, that's where it kind of started to flow from, and then kind of had the idea, and obviously we were all working together at the restaurant and pitch it to you guys, and then it kind of snowballed from there. You know, we got to where we are today.
So the history between us three is Jeremy owned a restaurant here on the Gold Coast. Mikey was the bars manager for, like, we met before the collective was even built. Like, this guy rolled into a meeting with me. He's like, I want to do a menu in a bottle. And I was like, holy shit, this guy's crazy. But crazy creative.
And nothing's changed.
And absolutely nothing's
bottle
changed.
was sexy.
Yeah, it was menu in a bottle. It just wasn't practical. But then we sat down, we like, nothing's changed.
Yeah, nothing's changed.
And then I guess I feel like the aha moment might have been when Mikey came in and we developed that menu in that restaurant was crazy. Like, it was one of the cocktails of that menu were amazing. Like, so well thought out, so well presented, like the flavors, all of those, like, and that's all Mikey.
Which was all purely conceptual as well. We had at that stage no license. I think we got the license the day before we opened. 2 days before we opened, something like that.
We couldn't get the booze in the restaurant.
So we couldn't get the booze in the restaurant. So everything was purely conceptual. We'd sort of gone, I suppose these will work. Put them all together.
You've made enough in your
send them off
lifetime,
to you.
Surely.
Shaking a couple of margaritas.
Shaking a couple of margaritas. It went to print. And the night before we opened, or 2 days before we opened, we were at my kitchen in my house. Me, Jez, and Kale at like 4 o'clock in the morning, shaking up cocktails that we'd put to print already, that were already in the world. I'm like, I hope these work. Shake them up and be like, got away with that one. On to the next.
Having worked with you for a few years now, like, it's amazing how we know you love a deadline, but that is a good metaphor. The day before the restaurant opened, I hadn't seen the cocktail list. And I was like, I was getting a little bit nervous at this point. And you're like, no, it's going to be fine. We're going to nut them all out tonight. We're going to go home, shake some cocktails up, and then come in and execute them all tomorrow. And that sounded like, to me, we're going to go home, get really, really messy drunk, and then come in and hopefully it'll stick. But it did.
That was pretty apt evaluation of it. I do my best work under pressure.
You do.
Just say that.
You know that.
But then, like, the cocktail list there obviously got like super, in doing that, it got super labor intensive, like in making the cocktails and timing wise and all those kind of things. And I think that's where you came in and were like, hey, we need to speed up this service. How do we instead of doing it during service, how do we do it before service and actually speed up?
Well, we did so many big events and things. Like one of the amazing things we did at that venue was awesome parties, and kind of it put a bit of the location on the map as well. And everyone that worked there, had a real sense of pride, and so did the locals. So when we did an event or a party or whatever, we'd fill it up with 400, 500
Everyone
people.
came out.
It was madness. It was really fun. But and we always said, because cocktails was such a big part of what what the whole business revolved around, and Mikey did such a great job of managing that process through the bars. We wanted to still offer that service to 500 people all wanting to drink them at once, which is very difficult. It's pretty rare that you can get that. So I guess the problem that we needed to solve was, how do we do large-scale cocktails with, at some points we were using front-of-house staff as well to shake them up with underskilled staff and get them to be consistent quality all the time. So that's kind of where we started to really, and like I said, I'd already kind of been having this on a back burner for a little bit, but it was really at that venue where we went, this is a
commercially viable product.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, I think that was like, for me, when you pitched it to me, because I've worked in hospitality, I've DJ'd, I've done branding and design for all these venues, but I've never actually stood behind a bar and physically served a beer, shaken a cocktail or anything like that. So I was kind of like, is this guy for real? Like, is it like, I didn't understand from the back end how much it made sense, but it kind of made sense to me at an at-home market, because I would never make cocktails at home because it's way too hard.
Yeah.
I never make cocktails at home. I hate making cocktails at home. I'm so used to having everything set out for me. Like you have your station, have all your bits and pieces in the right spot, know where everything is. I don't juice limes. I don't
turn around and wonder where your bar back is at home.
Yeah. Clean this shit up.
Absolutely. And then we kind of, I guess, for everyone listening, we sat down, we sketched out an idea, you pitched a name, you pitched the concept, and then we kind of were like, all right, let's try and take this somewhere, let's try and do something with it. And that's where the first concept came from. And we'll get Tommy to pop Tommy's over here recording with Kersten in the room, but we'll get them to pop a little photo up. I found it the other day.
I think the main problem at that stage was that we didn't have enough skewers and rubber bands in the idea, and we had to develop that into the idea.
I think any good business starts at an acorn and then turns into an oak tree, right? And that's definitely where we were. We started with this product, and we were like, we want this, we want people to take it out and shake it up on Burley Hill, and we want to make it like everything in one thing and make it so easy. And that's still what we're trying to do. Yeah. But I think initially we went from like, let's make it happen to, it's happened, but it's not exactly practical right now.
Shout out to anyone that bought the picnic pack and actually used the skewer and the rubber band.
Ellie, who we did LPG with, actually bought the picnic pack from the collective. She was telling me the other day when we did a podcast. Yeah, like she was like, that's where I first saw it. And like the cost of goods on that thing was like
enormous. All in packaging.
It was costing us more to make it than to sell it.
It was a plastic bottle of jar. Like when you see the video, you'll understand. It's plastic bottle of jar, a rubber band, a skewer, a medicine measurer was in there as well.
Yeah.
Like it was, and then you had to, it was insane.
I'll never forget the moment though where, because the biggest problem that we were trying to solve in that was how we strained it, right?
Yeah.
So I'll never forget that moment when Mikey came in and he was like, I've got it. I've worked all night. I've got the solution. And then I think we were all sitting there when you showed us. And,
I was like, "What is going on?"
Yeah, and then you pulled out this bag of elastic bands and toothpicks, and me and Jarrad looked at each other and were like, "Oh, where are we going on this?"
Still my proudest achievement, including my 2 kids.
It was a pretty funny moment, but for all those people who bought that, kudos to them and the early adopters who got around it, because there's still people buying it today, like Ellie. That's
absolutely
pretty cool.
Yeah, and we're like, that got them invested out in business. Like they were like, what was inside the bottle was what counted. I think, like out of making that product, that's what counted. It was just the stage gate 1 of getting to where we are now.
I think that was the point that we kind of realized, hey, if people are buying this and not just buying it once, they were like, hey, can we take a few of these home because we're going to shake cocktails up? And we were all conscious that was probably the least practical way that we could possibly do that. But people were continuing to buy it and see it. And that was where we kind of went, you know what, this has got real legs. This is pretty exciting. Yeah.
And then we started to use it, like you guys started to use it through the venue for like the Margie mix and all those kind of things. And you see the benefits there. The name, Mr. Consistent.
The name.
How deep do we want to get into this? Let's just go on the. It's always been a fact for me. Whenever like running a bar and stuff like that, you always want consistency to be the cornerstone of
You
what
make
you're
the cocktail,
offering.
and then everybody else in your bar has to replicate that cocktail, right?
Yeah.
Like that's the idea.
Yeah, you know, like you go to a place, you have an amazing experience, you have like awesome food or an awesome drink or whatever. Go and you tell your friends about it. You bring them the following weekend, and it's shit, and it just you look like a fucking idiot. You know, if you get you need to have everything be exactly the same. You know, like regardless of who's making it, what time of day it is, if they're in like a heaving lunch or a quiet afternoon, lunchtime, dinner time, you know, like always has to be the consistent product. And like having people come in as a bar manager, and I'd have like all our specs laid out for everything, you know, like our margie was the same, our mojito, and people go, I can make a mojito. I was like, I don't really care that you can make your mojito. You need to make the collective's mojito or insert Bahir's mojito.
Yeah.
So that everyone had the same experience every single time that they had it, you know? And so that was always the cornerstone of our service and the foundation of what we were doing. So it made sense that that was what goes into the bottle.
Yeah.
You know, like we make sure that every single cook that we do is exactly the same. And if it's not, unfortunately, it goes down the sink.
Yeah,
you know?
we've done that.
We've done that too
like,
many times.
We've experienced that, like making sure a product doesn't leave our production facility unless it is smack bang on.
Been tasted, it's been checked, like and in those early days that was pretty painful. Some of those ones where we threw it down the sink or do you remember that ice machine?
That was
I've never been so angry at one piece of like equipment in my entire life.
We're just buying bags of ice, and we were like, Jeremy's like, let's just buy an ice machine. And then we when you buy an ice machine, you wash it out, you get through it, and then you actually start making ice in it. And then ours just never got good.
And when we that cocktail mix, when we were like, what is wrong with this batch? And we tasted it, and then we couldn't put it down. Like we couldn't put it down to if it was a lime juice or if it was a recipe or what we'd done wrong. And then we tried the ice, and I was like, oh, this ice smells like feet. And then we shook it up with new ice, the actual mix that we were nearly throwing out, and we're like, oh, it's fine. And then the ice machine, I was like, this has got to go. It's
got to go. So many times I've walked through you walked into the kitchen and all the boys are in there, like all the staff in there have just got their heads down. They're just like, what's wrong? And they're like trying to like figure out that process and figure out that scale process, going from very small cooks, you know, making 300 bottles in a day or, you know, 100 bottles in a day to making 2,000, 3,000 bottles in a day where we're at now. But like scaling that, and none of us have owned a beverage manufacturing company. You guys have made
I've
cocktails.
made lots of cocktails, but usually like one or two at a time.
Not
and in a
300
tin.
at a time.
No, like 3,200, you know, like that's what we're punching out, which is probably pretty conservative towards what we're looking at. But, you know, like it's a 10 cocktails in a bottle, you punch out however many bottles in a cook, you know, like it's a lot of drinks to scale up from mixing one at a time, you know.
The evolution of that's something I think we're all pretty proud of, to be fair, as well, you know, is where we've when we launched this, and it was just as COVID was kicking in and no one really had any money, and we were like, is this business going to work? Let's try it and see how we go. So little by little, we tried the little first kitchen, then we tried the second kitchen, but that process of scaling up has just been trial and error, more error than success in some cases. But when you get there, like that's something that us and the team, from batching out days of, you know, 20 plus hours and 7 days a week, and then just keeping on pushing, and then we get more good people come on board with us. It's been pretty cool to watch that evolution, I reckon.
And that's where the consistent comes from. That's like consistency has been the key to us making a good product and not jeopardizing our product, not jeopardizing our juice, our like any of the things that go into it. And I think that's where, and then we kind of sat around and we're like, holy shit, let's like, what about Mr. Consistent? Like you bartender, let's make it a person. Let's make it the person that makes your cocktails. Let's make everyone Mr. Consistent. Anybody can be that person.
Yeah. And having that kind of, the face of the brand that isn't one individual person, you know. When we talked about it, we wanted it to be the person that everyone wants to invite to the party and all that kind of stuff. And like you've done an amazing job of drawing that person and making it happen and creating this kind of brand where like people really resonate with it.
People think it's a legit person.
Yeah.
Like, you walk into a room, they're like, are you Mr. Consistent? I'm like, well, no, but
One of.
there's a team of 60
There's
that
65 of
makes
us.
there's 65 of us that make Mr. Consistent, but he is a person and he has a personality, and we've all sat down and in our brand strategy we discussed that, and it was a big thing of Mr. Consistent is he's lippy, he's chatty, he acts and talks and like a bartender.
Yeah,
like an Aussie bartender.
Yeah, the perfect bartender that you want to be at a
Less
party
wanky than some.
Yeah.
Less up his own ass than a lot of bartenders.
Less wanky. But this is another shot at redemption today. Is the speed. We developed, like, when we first started, we're like, what can we do to, prove that this product is way faster in bars, way fast, in a venue, way faster at home. And that's where you're like, let's see how fast people can make a cocktail. And now we've got the rules set. And we are good to go. And this is your shot at redemption, because I am still the reigning champ at 22 what?
22.54.
22.54. He's the reigning champ. Mikey, last time I'm pretty sure you dropped stuff and it went everywhere. Actually, maybe
Jeremy
was
dropped
me.
stuff
That
and
was
I
me.
still lost.
You're relentless on
Mikey's
breaking
31.18 and Jeremy 25.54.
Jeremy
But
dropped shit and bleeped me by 6 seconds.
I'm throwing this out there because this is your second go at it. Whatever time you do now is your time. So, Jarrad, if you fuck up, that's your time.
Okay, fair enough.
Agreed?
Agreed? Because otherwise that's unfair.
Yeah.
What have we got to do to take the highest average here? Like,
So you can you can say, hey, no, I'm going to stick with my score because I know I'm going to fuck up, Jarrad.
I'm confident.
Or this is the redo and they're coming off the wall.
You reckon you're shaving some time? You're shooting for a PB.
100%. I'm
he's
confident.
been in here doing
All right.
it a couple of times.
Yeah, he's got the most prep.
You can't tell we're competitive,
I actually, when I got the invite to do this again, I was like, I'm just gonna fucking charge it. I'm gonna do nothing else between now and then, except just practice those exact movements and smash it out. I've done nothing.
No prep.
Nothing at all.
All right, well, let's get into it. Let's make these cocktails and let's see how fast we can shake. This is literally this is the pinnacle of our business, making cocktails quick over a bar. You should be able to make 2 cocktails quicker than you can serve two beers. So
And I should be able to beat the both of you.
yeah,
so.
and you should be able to beat the both of you.
I should be able to not lose.
Actually, Mikey should win.
Keep
a lot.
Keep the tricks to a minimal, Mikey. All right, let's do it. Let's go. Speed test time, Michael.
Michael.
Oh, right. What do you want on the?
If it has my
sheet?
surname, Michael.
Michael Sebire.
Mikey Sebire with the formal and informal just feels weird.
Just so everyone's very aware,
Michael and Mikey are the same people.
They're the same person, and they have been making cocktails for over 15 years, so you should shit this in.
Should.
No pressure.
Can we get Kersten to grab the name boards, and I'm going to get my clock ready here. So, Michael, you know the deal.
Should there be 2 clocks? I feel like there should be an adjudicating clock rather than just the guy that's also competing.
Fair. We can have an adjudicating.
I'll get on the clock.
Yeah, we can have an adjudicating clock over there.
At what point are we getting a Rolex as a sponsor?
Yeah, I know. Get the big,
I'm more of an
rolly
Omega
up
guy.
here.
Yeah.
I'm more what?
More an Omega guy.
I'm more a
James
Casio
Bond,
kind of nerd. All right, well, you know the deal. 75 mils of Mr. Consistent mix in the jigger to the top. 45 mils of tequila, second line down in the jigger. Ice, 5 shakes, only 5. Any more than that, you're playing with it. And then you have to pour it in and garnish with fruit. However you do that in the time frame is where you'll end up on the board. If you don't strain, we've brought in a 2-second penalty. You ready?
I'm in.
What do you want to go on? 3, 2, 1, go? 3, 2, 1.
3, 2, 1, go.
Yeah, 3, 2, 1, go works. For me.
All right, you ready? How you feeling? You're nervous. I can see it.
I'm nervous. Normally these end in him flailing it everywhere, so I'm terrified.
I'm poised.
All right, let's get into it. 3, 2, 1, go. Ice quick, bit of spillage. Here we go to the top. 75 mils of Mr. Consistent mix. Dumps it in the shaker.
That is a real slow
I hear ya. Here we go. You're at 12 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Here he goes. He's popped it open. He's got to strain it out, and he's getting his fruit ready.
Chunk the fruit.
22:16.
Let's go!
Oh, he's up. He's back.
22:16. Get that up your beak.
Mikey previously was 31:18. He shaved a solid. That's 9 seconds.
Is that the top now?
That's
it,
the top.
baby.
That's the reigning champ. Belsy, thoughts?
I'm sliding down quickly.
All right.
22:16. Oh my goodness gracious, man.
Good score, Mikey.
That is
to be fair, you've made a solid million margaritas in the last year and a half. You'd hope you can make that quick.
Oh, we're on here. This
We're on.
is
It just
go
got
time.
spicy.
It just got real spicy.
All right, am I up?
I think that's the first time you've actually completed it that I've seen.
Without dropping something? Yeah.
or spilling or All right, Jeremy, go time for you. Mikey's just got a 22:16. He's gone to the top of the leaderboard with redemption. He's feeling good. He's happy with
It's all right,
himself.
I'm not smug about it, but
You're definitely as smug as it gets. Jeremy, are you ready?
Yeah.
All right.
Let's go.
Let me get this clock up. Same again. 3, 2, 1, go. All right,
3, 2, 1,
reset.
we're going on go.
3, 2, 1, go. All the way to the top. 75 mils of the mix. Gonna dump it in. Oh, a little bit of spillage. Here he goes. He's shaking. Oh, dump. Ice. Here he goes. Oh, he'd pre-put the ice in the scoop then. Here we go. Here's the strain.
Oh,
Here's
no.
the strain. Here's the strain. Oh, my goodness.
it's messy.
It's messy as it gets. 20, 86.
Let's go! Well, the boys are on today. Jeremy's previous score was 25:54. New champ.
20.
I've never been proud of being
86.
quick. It's always been but today I'm very happy.
Oh my goodness. Feels like the walls are coming in on me.
the pressure is on, J Bell.
Oh, yes.
I'm still shaking.
I've just slid down 2 spots. Woo! Holy shit.
All right, we'll set up for Belsy and we'll come back.
All right, Jarrad, you're up. So, current reigning champ, how are you feeling? How are you going? You're looking pretty nervous.
I'm hella nervous. I've slid 2 places in 1 minute, in 45 seconds.
What's the time to beat, Jeremy?
Time to beat is 2086. Mikey, maybe you should be in charge of the stopwatch. Hang on. No?
No, definitely.
I don't want any possibility for any claims.
I've got it.
that this wasn't right. What's your
5/4.
All right, so Jarrad, you know the rules.
I do know the rules.
Going on 3, 2, 1, go is go.
Woo!
Are you ready? There's a lot to live up to here. Okay. 3, 2, 1, go. All right, so we start with 75 mils to the top. Jared's gone for the pre-ice in it. Very good technique. Onto the tequila. We're using Volando. Delicious stuff. He's looking pretty good.
shit.
Oh, he's lost it. He
Stumbled.
He stumbled. Couple of shakes. 5 to be exact. And the strain out. Oh, he's looking pretty strong. Let's get that lime in. Oh! What have you got, Tom?
What did you get?
No, I'll go yours first.
I got 20.6.
Oh, I got 20.49. Let's give him 20.49. He wins either way. So
Oh, does he?
well, he does, but that means I'm having another go.
Still got it.
Still got it.
reigning champ.
Still the reigning champ.
And with a stumble.
Thank you very much.
Played. Jarrad, co-founder.
I've never seen the bloke so nervous.
I shaved 9 seconds off my PB and I'm the slowest.
Can we get some eraser so we can change this up and
We can get another one. If you
have
want
another shot?
If you want another go, he's going to go the tactic, 100%. The pour and the ice. At the same
What we're
time.
saying, 20.49.
Thank you for
Now the
coming.
ice is the winner. The pre-ice is the winning
It's-
tactic, I reckon.
It's the double, so you're pouring and icing.
That's
Yeah,
where
but
we went wrong.
But to be honest, it was what? 0.2 off, right? What were you? 2080?
Yeah, well,
2086, yeah.
0.4 seconds.
Yeah. That's the difference.
That's the difference.
And he stumbled, so there's a second.
Unbelievable scenes. Still the reigning champ.
Wild.
Thank you everyone for coming to my show.
Cheers.
Cheers. All right, we're going to get back into it anyway. But the first, I guess, we all play very different roles within this business. But I think I have the best role in the business. Mikey, you probably
I
think you
definitely have the
role
best role in the business.
Jeremy, you probably think the same thing. Like we all hold our parts. Like I do brand like I'm the brand director, so I do artwork, design, bit of sales team stuff. Mikey, you like
I look
give us
after
a rundown
production.
on what you do.
In the business or in the three? In the business, I look after the production and the product and the recipes and all that. But in the three, I spent most of my adult life establishing myself as the liability amongst the three of us. It's rare that I get to look at Jeremy and go, oh, I'm not going to be in trouble because Jeremy's drunker than I am. It's fine. I don't think I've ever had that experience with you.
It's rare. It's happened.
Definitely. It happened last podcast.
It did, yeah.
That's why I was sitting like pensively looking at you then, just being like, hold it together. We just need to stay less drunk than Jeremy and we're fine. But yeah, so amongst the three, that's definitely my role. I'm the
Not being the liability.
yeah, the fast and loose one. But I take the heat off you guys. But in the company, I look after the product, you know, which is, like you said, is by far the best job. Mine is the job that gets to be like, I get to work with the taste and the creative and the flavor and moreover the booze.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I would do mine. I do this for fun, basically, you know, like whether it be cocktails or like cooking a meal or making a drink or whatever.
You
know,
read,
like,
like I know you read like flat chat on, and you don't read crime stories. You read cocktail books and recipe books and
I read
flavor
most
books
things
and-
really, but
yeah.
I like to wrap myself around that stuff and how I love the interaction of flavors.
Yep.
You know, like we've had the conversation before about I don't drink cocktails at home very often. I drink more now that I've got Mr. Consistent to do.
Yeah.
Nice little plug.
Shout out
Drink
Mr. Consistent.
But like I said before, you know, like I don't like having to, I'm so used to having like my station set up and having everything there and all that. And then it's nice making cocktails. I love creating a cocktail. I love putting the flavors together and making them mingle together and all that. But generally I drink more wine at home than I do anything else because I like the way that the flavors of the wine and the food and all that will interact. You know, it's a great excuse to drink as well.
Yeah.
You know, like you go, well, someone's cooking a roast, I'm gonna have to have wine. You know, like generally you can kind of make yourself not drink, but as soon as there's a nice meal on the table, it's a real nice excuse to go.
Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna have to drink because I'm having a nice meal.
But the cocktail's a vibe thing, right? Like that's the cocktail that, like when you're making these things, like we talk about it all the time. Like, where do we see people drinking this? In what state? In what area of Australia? What demographic? Like all those things is all the things that count into what goes into a product and how it tastes and like who's our market and like that's then you have to take that and analyze it.
Yeah.
And go like, all right, I believe the Stitch Up is a good example of, they're a Queensland company. It's fresh. It's fruity. They want to be drinking it on rooftop bars. They want to be drinking it at the beach. It's like
it's a party drink, you know.
Yeah.
It's like champagne. People will drink for any number of reasons.
Yeah.
Like everywhere from celebrating the greatest thing that's ever happened in your life to like commiserating the shittiest thing that's ever happened. But people don't go, oh, I'm so depressed. I'll just shake myself up with Cosmo, you know, pop some champagne and just wallow in my sorrows. It's a party drink, you know, it's a fun drink. And it's usually a social drink as well, you know, like it's rare that you'll just sit and drink cocktails by yourself. I could be wrong. I'm sure I have had cocktails by myself. But you know what I mean? Like it's usually a gathering and it's something, it's your campfire, you know, you've got that thing that you all sit around and you all have it together.
bit of vibe. And that's where you like I love when you walk into this business and you're like, I've got something. And you literally walk around to like all 40 people or 30 people, however many are in the office that day. And you're like, try this, try this, try this, try this. You bring everybody, like you call it harvesting opinions, which most people don't like to do because they don't care for other people's opinions, but you love it. Like you thrive on it and you want to hear feedback and you want people's opinion on what they think of your creation. Like I love that you bring that into part of this business and you make everybody involved in the product creation, which is really cool.
It's probably trying to get as much of a representation of our demographic, you know, like a lot of our team is representative of that demographic anyway. And there's when you are working on something, you do it so long and you're looking so closely that sometimes you miss it,
Yeah.
or you get like what I kind of equate to Stockholm syndrome.
Yeah.
You'll work on something and you don't know whether it's good or it's just less shit than the other things that you've made before, and it's not as straightforward as just making a cocktail here, because making a cocktail there's different moving parts, like you've got alcohols to work with, you've got different flavors and all that to work with. And here we are doing it all without the inclusion of alcohol. So someone has to just add one spirit to it and they make a super complex, really nice, thought out cocktail, So it's a bit of a different, slightly outside the comfort zone of what I've been working in for the last however many years, you know? So it's nice to go around and get the opinions of people and all that. Sometimes it's stroking your ego, like if you do something that is real good and you just take it round just so people go, yeah, you're awesome. But mostly it's just trying to kind of harvest that opinion of people so that you do have a rounded figure of what you're working at and how you try to amend it and fix it.
I mean, we have 70% of our crew are ex-bartenders and things, so it'd be daft of us not to get those opinions and see,
I'm sure
what
your
they all
tongue's
think.
burnt from acidity from drinking so much lime juice or whatever product you're working on.
Or caffeine,
Or
spoiler alert.
I'm not getting scurvy anytime soon.
Yeah, the day you walked in with the espresso and you're like shaking, that we are working. Yeah, spoiler alert, we are working on an espresso martini. When this podcast's out, hopefully we're close to having it. But like the day you walked in, you were like this, like just absolutely, like your hands and everything was shaking. And when you were talking, there's like a tremor in your voice.
There has been so many coffee jitters over the last 4 months of my life. And I'd never had it, like where people would be like, oh, I had a coffee after 3 p.m. I couldn't sleep. I've never
felt
ever had that. And I think it's probably due to like, let's say Jaeger bomb abuse, where you can drink like well into the morning and still go to sleep.
Yeah.
And caffeine's never really been that anxiety inducing in me, but I've definitely felt that experience now,
That experience.
Especially when we need to nail it.
When you need to nail it and you're working on it and you got that sort of in your head anyway, and then you couple that with just 10 hours of drinking espresso and very little else but drinking espresso. You got like a little bit of vodka to take the edge off or whatever, but it's a lot of espresso.
Absolutely. JD, you keep the wheels on. Like that is.
It's funny, people ask me that, what do I do a lot? And I genuinely don't know. I think my strengths are probably strategy, leadership, and getting everyone, moving in the right direction. And you two, the brand and the product are so important to this business, as are the people, and that's what we founded ourselves on. And think, my skills are getting everyone kind of aligned and looking a few years ahead and going, right, what are we trying to achieve? What do we want to do? But if you say, what do I do day to day? Geez, I don't know.
You're the business head. Like, can you imagine if me and Jarrad were looking after the business?
This is fast and loose right here.
No, you're loose. I'm fast.
This is like, you are neat and tidy. Like that, like in terms of business, you make so many of those times where we have those conversations, I'm like, mate, this guy just keeps the wheels on. Like, you keep all the departments talking and keep all the departments moving in the same direction, because in it, and I've witnessed it in other businesses where, the warehouse, production, marketing, sales, and customer service, like all these departments are moving, right? And if they're moving in the same direction, it's in perfect harmony, and that's what's got us to where we are because of your leadership. But then I've seen it where departments veer off, and that's where you're like, hey, tap them back into line.
I think that I've looked after teams of 100 plus for
I've never looked after teams. You've looked after so many.
So I guess over my career, I've learned that you can't expect yourself or individuals to do something, and you need to empower teams to make stuff happen. And that's kind of my methodology of leadership, is kind of finding the right people. I'm not an expert. I don't know, yes, I can shake up good margaritas, but I know I can't do what you do. I can't do what you do, Jarrad, and I can't do what half of our crew do. But when you get everyone together and you kind of get them all working, that's what I do quite well, is kind of getting everyone kind of picking their brains and get people working together so that we say, okay, well, what do we want to achieve as a group.
Yeah.
And then, right, here's what each individual unit needs to do
Like
to make that happen.
Captain coach.
Yeah. I honestly, I don't know. But yeah, probably the business and the leadership side
Yeah.
is where I look after. Yeah.
Absolutely.
I think that's where the strength is a lot, you know, like we all have our own little niche and we all look after what we do. And like, I can't do what Jarrad does. Jarrad can't do what I do. And neither of us can do what Jeremy does, which is good. You know, like we're not constantly stepping on each other's toes. We give each other like our feedback and our opinions, but it's always with the understanding that whatever Jarrad creates, I couldn't do a patch of that. You know, and it's always respectful and it's always there, but it's not like you hear these stories all the time and they're like, oh, we were 3 bartenders and we started a winery and we thought that winery would be real good and it fucking bombed. And you're like, because you were 3 bartenders, you know, like 3 bartenders going to do in a business. So we're fortunate in that regard, you know, like we all sort of, I nearly said fill each other's holes, but it's not that kind of party.
We'll say gaps.
That's even tenuous. But yeah, we kind of we make the unit strong. We're stronger than the sum of our parts. Let's say that.
Absolutely. And I guess, Jarrad, for everyone who's tuning in as well, you know, the brand stuff is a really major part of what we do, and that's something that you've really driven and, you know, directed as well. So you should tell people what you do, because it's pretty amazing that we're sitting here doing a podcast and, you know, you and your team have driven this. So how do we get to here?
I feel like my experience is in branding and marketing for the longest period of time for other Australian-made brands, other, you know, departments that are international brands in Australia. But I look after anything that you see, feel, touch. Basically, you walk into a bottle shop. The way we designed the product, like we worked on a product, we wanted to make the label look sexy, so you would pick it up because the label stood out to you and it felt different to everything else in the marketplace. Then the product inside was so good that you want to drink more of it, so you would repeat purchase. But then the Instagram and the way it's shot and the way we do so much online business to new customers that don't know what our product tastes like, but instilling trust in our brand to make a purchase on something they can't smell, taste, or touch is like that's what I had to figure out and how we've sort of done things. But making them feel a certain way when they see a picture of a cocktail, or making them feel picturing themselves sitting on Burley Hill drinking a cocktail, or when people come around, they want to be the person that's like, hey, do you want a beer or you want a cocktail every time? And most are going to say a cocktail. Making people feel that way about our brand. That's kind of where and then I touch on, I do a little bit with our sales team alongside you, but like just making sure people are as invested in our brand from a visual point and from a feeling point as what we are. Is like downloading our IP into their heads. So,
and I think a business has, you know, for us particularly, what you do is you get people to fall in love with a product before they've even tried it. And you've been doing that for years and years for your marketing agency and getting people to do that. You know, it's about selling the dream of what we do. And
it's a lifestyle.
Yeah, but verbalizing that, paint the picture for people so they really know it well. And then Mikey, what you do is you back it up. You know, Jarrad's promise. Jarrad's out there promising stuff and saying this is what
I'm making promises out left, right, and center.
But you've got you and your team have to fulfill that promise, and that's a great thing about this business is that, you know, we are really, you know, it's a lifestyle product. It's really interesting to people, but then when they actually drink it, they go, I actually get it. These guys aren't just full of shit. They know what they're talking about, and I want to keep buying it. And that's the thing that, you know, hopefully, and we're really humbled that people did get around this, because otherwise we'd be sitting here just, you know, talking to 3 crickets. But
that'd be a very interesting podcast if our business had been a flop and we're like, fuck it, we did a podcast. Just sit around and talk about it.
Talk about flopping. What's like? We've obviously had lots of successes, and we've shared lots of those successes through Instagram, social, like all of our social platforms. What's the hardest part? What's been the hardest part besides carrying crates of mixers up and down the stairs and buying a forklift, or going to the markets in a ute with a trailer? What's been the hardest part, but like in our departments for you guys?
I think for us, the scale up. You know, like it's a completely different beast to contend with. than making a cocktail.
Talk numbers, like we're from like the first week we started making to maybe say, like in terms of relevance, it's probably like the first week to the first month to 6 months to a year. It would be like
Or even before that, I guess for me, my consideration of the perfect margarita was you make it in a tin, you make it to this specification, you shake it on ice, you pour it out, you garnish it, you serve it. Taking that and then making that into a product that you then like pasteurize and you make shelf stable so that someone can take it from there and take it home and it still be the same product when they get it home. And if they use it in a week, 2 weeks, 3 months, 6 months time, it'd still be exactly the same thing.
Yeah.
So that's been a steep learning curve. And then to be able to scale that up from one cocktail to how many were we making? You know, like making it in a pot, boiling it on a stove.
I remember when 100 cocktails that we made, 100 bottles was a good day.
I remember when we got the 35-liter tanks and I was blown away. I was like, we fucking made it. You know, like these are massive. You know, we had like a little 5-liter saucepan, which a 5-liter saucepan's big, you know, like, and we were making them in that and we were like peeling oranges and cutting pith off oranges and like drying them out in the oven and extracting oils ourselves and all that, you know, like, and then we scaled up from there and we still use those 35-liter tanks as like
testers.
Pilot batches,
Yeah.
testers.
It's like a mini brewery almost.
It's like cooking in a thimble now.
Yeah.
You know, they're so little and they're so easy and it's so quick.
Yeah.
But at the stage that we sort of moved in, we grew so organically, you know, like it was, we started off doing what we were doing and then it grew a little bit and then it grew a little bit and then COVID happened. And as callous as it sounds, that really sort of played to our favor. And we started with those tanks and we grew a little bit and then we outgrew where we were and we moved on to sort of, I think we had 125 liters, 165 liters, and now we're in 270s. And the forecast is that we're going way bigger than that, you know, but we've gone from, in the space of just over a year, I've gone from making one cocktail at a time to essentially like 3,200 at a time. And the one that I made was multiple spirits or liqueurs or whatever to sort of give it that flavor. And now there's none, you know, now it's all juice.
Yeah.
And all syrups that we make and stuff like that. And we are still making everything from scratch and we always will, you know, but that has been the challenge for us. And also when we first kicked off and when everything did start to go nuts was the height of COVID. So getting things delivered was just shit.
Bottles,
you know, like we had to get everything delivered to my house and then I'd put it in my car and I'd drive it down to
Or your wife would.
or my
Or
wife
Alice
would.
would,
Shout out to Alice. And we'd take it down to the little kitchen at Mawulumbar and then we'd cook for a day or a night or a day and a night or whatever. And then Jetty, shout out Jetty, would bring the bottles in crates in the tiny little Corolla back to your house.
My garage.
To your garage. And then that was the distribution center and all that, you know, like I think those were probably the biggest.
Yeah, turning it into a handcrafted product to like, or still is handcrafted, but like turning it from a small handcrafted.
From a garage, like
garage
genuinely,
setup,
lots of businesses start with that kind of garage mentality, but ours legitimately was, you know, there's rules and regulations and legislation around how you can produce a food product. So we had to meet those, which meant we had to go out and find out a facility, which would mean that we can do all of that and get all the licenses and get the tick offs and all that kind of stuff. And we did that, but then the logistics, you know, none of us have had a beverage company before. I think for me, that's been one of the most challenging things is in a restaurant, it's real easy. You make food, you sell it, you get your money, customers go home, they're either happy or they're not.
Yeah.
With us, you know, we've got to pre-make, you know, we've got to have a par level at the moment. We're working on a par level of 15,000, 20,000 bottles, you know, just to be holding here. And one thing happens, people decide they don't want to drink cocktails anymore, and we're stuck with 15,000 bottles of cocktail mix, you know? So there's all of the things that come with scaling up and for not knowing, you know, we do a lot of reading. I know that both of you guys do a lot of reading about it, but that's been the challenging thing is actually, okay, this is a completely different model to what any of us have done before.
Absolutely.
And while it's both challenging, like it's rewarding. It's like amazing when we turn around and we go and we look at those days at Mawillenbar where you and you had the kids literally pouring juice in and putting labels on bottles and all that kind of stuff to you driving up from Sydney with your car packed full of all of your worldly belongings and driving up because you're like, I've got to be there to make this business actually
we have
happen.
to make it happen, yeah.
And now we've moved into this amazing new facility and we're trying to make things happen again. But at each of these stages, they all have their different challenges.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's what business is about, right? It's just kind of that absolute grit to make things happen.
Once you overcome a challenge, you never have to, or you know how to handle it the next time it comes around, or you'll never see that challenge again. But it's also what makes it exciting and what like if you just come into work and it's not challenging, then I don't see a point in doing it. Do you know what I mean? Like it doesn't feel like work to me if I come in and know how to handle every day-to-day part of my day.
Yeah.
Then it's not fun. It's not challenging for me. Like that's what drives me is being able to problem solve and all those kind of things. So.
And in the team, everyone has to keep learning, right? And that's the exciting thing about this business is that we've got lots of people who are actually not that experienced at what we're doing. But hell, as a team, we are figuring it all out. We're making it all happen. When we make a mistake or we learn from it, we get better. That's a really cool part of what we're doing. And I think that's part of the success, and why it resonates with people is that we are genuinely a whole group of hospo crew with other skill sets, other creativities, other all sorts of stuff outside, trying to figure out how to get this done and deliver the best quality product and experience to our customers. And it's working,
Yeah. It's been important on that side of things. It's been important to have people more invested, like not highly skilled per se, but more invested in the brand and the product and what it tastes like and all those things than actually having, highly skilled sales manager or whatever it is. Like these people believe in our product and when they talk from their heart versus from a sales mentality. And a lot of the time that's what gets people across the line. When you talk, like I've had so many phone calls where they're like, I get it. I get you passionate about it. Like I'll give you a go. That 90 times out of 100 will get you across the line versus having a deal or whatever it is. When they hear passion in your voice and your tone, that's what gets you across the line, I reckon.
And I think that like hands off to our amazing crew who have made this happen with us.
Absolutely.
It's easy for the three of us to sit here and be recording a podcast and all that kind of stuff, but genuinely, without the 60 odd people behind the scenes, this wouldn't have happened, and there's been people, we've had people's mums helping us out. We've had literally people have just been like, we want to make this thing happen. And we try and reward and we recognize and we thank people. We're incredibly grateful to everyone. But some of the hardest parts for me in the business is when, as we're going through these growing pains, it is also a business, and cash flow as we go from each stage is really difficult. And that's been particularly prevalent at the moment is while we're growing right now, you get to this point and everyone looks from the outside and goes, wow, look at this amazing business. They're making loads of money and this, that, and the next thing. And right now it's just flat out not true. We're trying our best to get through it. We're trying our best to deliver a product which is amazing to our customers. And we know that we're going to go to the next level, but it's really hard at the moment to manage.
20,000 bottles sitting in this warehouse out the back of here that we've paid for. We've paid for the juice. We've paid for the syrups, the sugar, the bottles, the labels, the people to pack, the people to make, like all that. Like there's 20,000 bottles, whatever that costs to make is straight costs. Like we're just sitting on that just to make sure that we can, when something comes off, we can facilitate. Like if we have a festival, we have somebody come along and they're like, oh, we've got this, we want to make it happen. That I think there's always growing pains in business, but that's I think a lot of people don't understand how important cash flow is. And
I was amongst them. You know, like you guys have both had businesses before. This is the first time that I've had my own skin in the game, like I've been part of opening restaurants and I've opened bars before and stuff like that. And I've been part of that process, but this is the first time that I've had to deal with the harsh reality of it, And I've had that in part, like there's always questions you have to answer, like it's not like someone goes, here's an unlimited budget, just do what the fuck you like with it, like that'd be lovely, but you always have to make the ends meet. But I've never had that stark reality of it that you go, well, we pay people every week and the people that pay us don't pay us every week. And the people that we pay for things we have to pay every week. And trying to make that balance work is a lot more complicated than you think. You know, like even when you say it like that, it sounds pretty straightforward. But when you're living it, it's a lot more complicated than that.
Absolutely. We're going to take a quick break. We're going to make some, I reckon we have Cosmo. It's ours.
Yeah, let's
What do you
move on to
think?
Cosmo, I reckon.
Cosmo?
The
Have a
gin
little
Cosmo.
And then we'll come back.
Yum.
All right.
This episode is sponsored by Mr. Consistent Events. When planning your next function, don't just throw any old party. We'll do all the hard work for you involving setup and pack down with our professional staff. This will be a Mr. Consistent event to remember. Contact us now to lock in your dates. You can find us by clicking on the events tab at mrconsistent.com.au. Now back to the episode.
We've touched quickly on like the old production facility, but like let's give a scenario like this. This was probably like the wildest time when we're making how many bottles? It would have been like maybe 300 bottles a week, 400 bottles a week.
Nah, I'm
Yeah, 400
Yeah,
a week
about
would be
that,
about
about
right.
A week, and we were shipping them out of your garage in Palm Beach. We were hand delivering them between the three of us. By the time I felt really guilty because me and Chris, my wife, were still living in Sydney, and I couldn't actually physically help. I'm out there making promises to people. Yeah, we're going to deliver you shit.
But you were selling them, and we were figuring out how we could make the
keep
things
up.
that we'd sold.
Make them. How much money do you reckon you spent on
Ice?
yeah, like frozen water ice?
Oh,
Let's just clarify.
probably more than we sold in cocktail mixes, to be perfectly honest with you.
Yeah.
Filling up the back of the ute once we'd made the cook and pasteurized them all, and they were red hot, and then we'd fill up the back of the ute with all the mixes, and then like probably about 10 bags of ice each run, and then go out and deliver them.
And
You
this
would
was
deliver
dealing
'em.
with state border closures as well.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So everything was shut,
Most
you know?
people know about the border closures, but the border was closed between Queensland and New South Wales. We live in Palm Beach, which is 3 suburbs from the border, and our kitchen was in Murwillumbah, which is 2 suburbs from the border. But the border took close to an hour, anywhere between a half hour to 2 hours to get through.
Yeah,
Yeah.
easy.
And we said we'd ship orders in our local area, so we're shipping like down to like Cabarita, like down to Cabba.
Yeah, I'd take all the South End ones.
Down to Cabba, all the way up to like Movie World,
Ormo.
Dream World, almost, yeah. And I remember you
Almost
ringing me
so
like, almost so
Fuck
far.
Ormo.
Shout out to Ormo.
Shout out to Ormo.
But like we were delivering it at that stage, we'd discuss it and you're like, yep, we can handle it. And then I think that the demand was just like, it just hit us. Like it hit us in the face and we're like, holy shit, how are we going to supply? I remember ringing you one day. I was like, you just finished delivering. It must have been like 6 o'clock. And I was like, hey, mate, Tony's just rung me. He's wonder where that order is. But Tony is from Commune down in Coolangatta. And he's like, he'd ordered 12 bottles. And I remember you going, down the phone. I could just hear your body empty of enthusiasm. And you're like, yep, no worries. I'll get it to him. And you drove back to Murwillumbah, filled up a tank, made a batch, bottled it all, stickered it all, delivered it to Tony at like 7 at night, and
Yeah.
he sold out by 8.
That's what it takes when we're growing, though. You know, like those early days were so memorable and awesome, and that's one of the reasons we're here is that we just uncompromisingly, and all of us have service background.
Yeah.
To start off with, so when we set out, we said, right, we always want to make sure that we're trying to service our customers as best we can, and that meant that in those days it was you pushing as hard as you could to sell stuff online, and even if it was like a handful of orders in the prep kitchen, we were like, holy shit, this is a whole load of orders, you know, and what do we do? So we'd sell them online, we'd cook them up in that little kitchen, we'd sticker the bottles up, we'd like press the juices, all that kind of stuff in there, and then that same night we'd be going out and delivering them until, honestly, it was like 9:30, 10 o'clock at night sometimes, wasn't it?
Always. But that was like, it had its positives as well. You know, like I've come from, and you as well, like it's not just a hospitality background, it's a service background, you know, and I love that side of it. I love the service side of it.
Nothing better than making somebody feel really good.
Someone's had a shit day, they come into your bar, you give them a drink, they feel a little bit better.
Yeah.
You know, like, and you get to be part of that journey. And so it was nice for us to go from something that was so face-to-face interactive and sociable to then being holed away in a kitchen to then be delivering the bottles and stuff and having that face-to-face interaction again and having people like sort of feeding off their little buzz of getting their bottles and that.
I think that's what got us through those first couple of months is like when we'd we get to that kitchen at 7 o'clock in the morning or whatever, cook all day, like unpack the pallets, make the juices, peel the fucking oranges. Well, not pallets, sorry.
Unpack my car.
Yeah, unpack your car.
Unpack the shit that we got in boxes from my house.
We prep all the stuff, and then we'd still be going out delivering. And I remember days at 6 o'clock, the sun was going down. Like, it's middle of winter at this point as well.
Yeah.
The sun's down. It's pitch black. I'm driving back to the Gold Coast, and I haven't even started delivering. And I remember calling Chloe a couple of times and being like, Chloe, like, I'm not going to be home until at least 9:30. I've got 3.5 hours worth of delivering to go. And anyone would turn around and go, oh, you poor bugger, that sounds shit. But hands down, every time that we'd knock on someone's door, open up the thingy, and they go, oh, Mr. Consistent's here. Like, that's what got us through, right?
Absolutely.
Almost every time. But yeah, so we had a couple of those moments where, or like delivering with 3-year-old and a 1-year-old at that stage.
Yeah.
And so like going to houses on a Sunday morning or something like that with a baby in one hand, because you can't just like leave them in the car while you go and do deliveries. Baby in one hand, gift box in the other, like banging on someone's door on a Sunday morning. You know, like we did all of it.
I think we still share like a lot of our family. Like we're a family orientated business. I've done the same thing with Lola, and like your daughter's in here today.
Yeah.
Like, do you know what I mean? Like we bring her, like,
God bless her, screaming the house down, tagging me.
You got a bit of spew on your shirt, but like that, we are a family orientated business, and it's like that's how we operate. Like it doesn't bother me that you did that, and I know it doesn't bother you. Like when Lola comes in, you're the first person that asks for a cuddle, and everyone else tries to bribe her with fucking lollies. But it is what it is.
That's one of the reasons this partnership works really well. Is that, you know, when you're finding people that you want to be in business with, and you got to find people who have the same kind of core values, if you like, and the same mentality. And our core values are all deeply rooted in family, and that's kind of one of the things that's really special about what we do, is that when the kids come in, it's epic. You know, they go around, they give cuddles to everyone in the warehouse, they're high-fiving.
My kids love it.
Yeah.
Absolutely fucking love it. They get so much attention when they're here. You know, like you have sales guys pushing them around on office chairs and shit. I can't compete with that at home. There's so much attention here.
Sometimes the kids are the hardest working people in the building, to be perfectly honest.
Shout out to the kids. What's your this is pretty controversial. What's your favorite out of our products that we've made?
Bloody Mary, not controversial at all.
You love it. It's your Bloody Mary. Like,
it's my Bloody Mary. It's the Bloody Mary that I've developed over the past 15 years of being a cocktail bartender and going into work, having spent the night before being a cocktail bartender. And the thing about a Bloody Mary is when you need one, you don't need to make your own, you know, and that's what we can gift people with in their lives, you know, like all well and good to have your party drinks ready for you. You don't have to make them. Awesome. But when you wake up in the morning and you're like, fuck, I've got to deal with today and last night really kicked the shit out of me, and you can go, I can have a Bloody Mary in 5 seconds. I don't even have to shake this one. I put the two things in the glass together and I drink it, and it's a, like, dare I say it, good Bloody Mary.
We've had this discussion many a time, but I'd never liked Bloody Marys.
Yeah.
Ever.
I always got you over the line, right?
Yeah. When Mikey's like, I think it wasn't even, we were just chatting, and you're like, you showed me the sours and we'd had the Margie, and you were like, I think the other one we want to do is Bloody Mary. And I was sitting there, I'm like, he's like, you've never had a good Bloody Mary. And I was like, mate, I just don't like tomato juice. Like, it's not my vibe. It's just not me. And you're like, wait here. And then you disappeared for like 45 minutes.
Yeah.
And you brought this Bloody Mary back, and I was like, I get it.
Yeah. I don't like tomato juice. Tomato juice is too viscous, you know, and that's why, you know, like it's thick and it's horrible, and when you're feeling dodgy already, which is Bloody Mary time, let's be honest, you know, like no one like toasts their daughter's wedding with a Bloody Mary. You know, like it's got its role in life, and it doesn't.
You can be the first.
I would definitely take champagne over most things.
It's an after wedding breakfast, right? It's the day after. That's why we're drinking Bloody Marys.
It's got its role in life, and it does it exceptionally well. And I've built my Bloody Mary that I've always sort of made or had around that, and I've had enough of those mornings to be pretty well versed in what you need.
Yours is I think your passion for the Bloody Mary comes from the in the bar when you get an order for a Bloody Mary. What do you say? Fuck off! I don't want to do a Bloody Mary right now because there's about 20 different ingredients in it, right?
Right. Yeah.
So every time that I saw you at the collective, when you'd be 20 dockets deep or whatever, a Bloody Mary would land. Everyone would go, "Oh, who wants to do the Bloody Mary?" So that's why ours is so like such a big thing for you, I think.
Because as a bartender, generally speaking, when everyone else needs a Bloody Mary, you do too. If they've had a big Saturday night, you've had a big Saturday night. If they've had a big Sunday night, you've had a big Sunday night. You know, like it's one of those things. It's a tool of the trade. You know, like bartenders should be able to claim them on tax. But
it's that little bit at the bottom of the tin that like keeps you going, right?
Yeah.
What's your favorite, Jez?
I honestly, I have different drinks of different times, but as we're rolling into these colder months right now, and it's not just because it's my face on it, but mulled wine is definitely my favorite. And, you know, it's a little bit Christmassy. It's a little bit, you know, I don't know. It's for me.
It's a memory thing.
Yeah, and you can't make a good mulled wine on your own either. I guess it's a little bit like a Bloody Mary. You know, you can do it, but it's a fart on.
There's a lot of moving parts.
So yeah, definitely mulled wine because it's just that hug in a cup. You know, you light the fire, you drink the mulled wine, easy.
I'd never had mulled wine until the restaurant that you used to own. And I was like, it was like a Christmas in July party we had, and I was like, I just got smashed on it.
Oh, I was dancing on the roof.
And like our mulled wine is 75 mils of mulled wine, 75 mils of a goon box if you want.
Yeah.
Whatever red wine you want.
Yeah.
And then I remember Mikey had like a little upsell, and it was like a 15 mil or 20 mil nip of brandy. You chuck in and he just booze it up heavily.
Trying to flog that brandy horse for a long time.
I do it regularly. It's delicious.
Yeah.
Just booze it up a little bit. I love it.
Yeah. What's your favorite?
Sours.
With what?
It's so versatile, right?
Amaretto.
Honestly, there's nothing gets me going. Before, straight up, I'd never had an amaretto sours till the day you pitched it at me. I was like, no way, I'm going to drink this. So I think it was more the egg white part that got me like kind of offside. I was like, raw eggs, at that time when I was working at the nutrition company, I was like, you know, your body doesn't digest raw egg well. It doesn't, you know, it just goes through whatever. And I was like, the feeling in the you know, you crack an egg and the sliminess. I was like, it's just gross.
Have any of you ever had actually had a raw egg?
Not in a smoothie or something, but I've never gone
like Rocky.
No.
Have we got any raw eggs?
Should we have a raw egg?
We don't
Absolutely
have
not.
The worst bit about a raw egg is that you swallow a little bit and all the rest of it goes down. Like it's all
I imagine it to be
it's all connected.
Yeah.
I imagine it to be phlegmy.
Phlegmy's a pretty good
texturally. Anyway. Sours is my favourite, and we don't use egg white.
We don't
no egg white.
No phlegmy egg whites.
And I never had amaretto before. I'd never had an amaretto sour. I'd never had amaretto before that day that you pitched it to me, and I was like, this is my drink.
When people drink that, there's a specific childhood taste that I think that takes people back to, and I don't know what it is. Like I can't put my finger on it.
In Australia,
if anyone knows,
it's a medicine. It's a very there's a medicine that was very similar to that was like tasted like that.
I'm going to go and try Layla's medicines and see which one it is.
See which one. Jeremy's from Newcastle, for any that don't know. But how long have you been here? Like 15 years now?
Yeah, I think 17 years. Yeah.
Are you a resident?
I'm a citizen, actually.
Citizen,
yeah.
Hello.
Got my passport and everything.
When did that happen?
Sung the anthem.
Sung the anthem, yeah. A few years ago now. But
good.
Deeply rooted in Geordie land. Geordie Shore,
Newcastle, bang.
Yeah.
Alan Shearer is
I'm still waiting for my call up for Geordie Shore, just in case you're listening, MTV.
Geordie Shore comes
still
to
here.
Australia. Speaking of overseas, like we in here, there's a question. It's like, do you want to take the brand international? And we are at we've gone.
What, another one?
Yeah, we've gone this week alone. We've sent our very first. I feel like this is a pretty big accomplishment for our business, and we haven't celebrated this enough. But we've sent our first pallet to Melbourne, and probably in the next week we'll be trading in Singapore.
Yep,
which is very cool.
It's madness.
It's insane.
I don't know. it's genuinely humbling that people have got around this in the way that they have,
Mm.
and it's leading to these kind of conversations. So yeah, it's amazing.
I'm excited. Does it make you nervous that we're like from a production side of things that we're
Not
dipping
really.
our toe in it?
Not him, but the whole kitchen team is shitting themselves.
the maybe the influx of orders, which are very, very welcome at any point, is maybe the nerve-wracking bit. But as far as will they like the product, I guess that's not up to personal opinion. But we taste everything that goes out.
I guarantee
You
they're
know, like
gonna like
I've
the product.
had tasting meetings with people where I've flown down to Melbourne first thing in the morning, and I distinctly remember the experience of showing people different mixes and stuff that we have, and you always have that like niggling little voice in the back of your head going, "Is this one going to be okay?" Like,
Yeah.
what if they don't like this
Always
one?
self-doubt.
But we personally taste every batch. So we know that everything that we go out, everything that goes out, everything that we send out is to the same standard that we
Yeah.
always produce everything. So everything that goes to Singapore, everything that goes to whatever corner of the world
Going to taste the same.
will be the same. So that doesn't bother me. You know, like it's there'll be some people that like us more and there'll be some people that like us less. That's really up to their personal opinion.
that-
But I'm confident that everything that we're sending to Singapore is the same juice that everyone's getting here.
And that's the wonderful thing about our product as well, right? Is that we're blessed in Australia that we have amazing quality fruit, amazing ingredients, and like
Our farmers are insane.
Yeah,
Like the farms in Australia and like the wide outback is like insane.
hats off to the farmers. They do such an amazing job, and we're blessed that the guys that pick our fruit and squeeze our fruit and make our juice are incredible. And that's the thing that when we do go international in a big way, it's people want Australian juices because what we produce is amazing. And what we do here is we get the best quality products that we can get our hands on and mix them all together so that they can have that same experience, that same quality of juice wherever they are. So if that's in if it's Singapore or Hong Kong or the US or the UK, wherever we go to next, the basis of it is all Australian, really quality, amazing ingredients where we've been to the places to go and get it. And that's why we know that it's going to be great and why your team makes such great drinks, you know?
Yeah, it's nice to be able to trace back everything that we put into the bottle to where it came from.
We were talking about it the
like-
other day, literally being like, oh, how do we make a system that you know where your lime's picked from, what farm it comes from, that's in the exact bottle that you are drinking out of, and like we are working on something like that. It's a lot of coding and there's a lot of work to go into that, but that's something like
A lot of IT geeks to we'll point Dexter.
we're going to need some help with that, but
Yeah.
like that's a pretty important part, and like talking into where we see the business in 1 year, 2 years, 3 years. That's probably like your section, Jeremy. Like we've got a fair idea where we want to be by say the end of this year or end next financial year. And that includes we are working on a new production facility out here that is going to be able to, what do we make now a week? Like what's it?
So right now we're on about 10 to 12,000 bottles a week, and this new production facility is going to 10 times that. So we're looking at 100 to 150,000 bottles a week. So it's quite an incredible set of challenges and circumstances that come with that, and just because we can make that much doesn't mean we're necessarily selling it, and we've got to, pay for all the gear and all that kind of stuff. So there's unique challenges across the whole thing, but the whole process has been, like I say, from being a garage to being 100,000 bottles a week. It's going to be a 2-year process. That's absolutely mind-boggling and
pretty
doesn't
scary.
happen without.
And we've got lots of friends in the say brewery industry, and you go down to friends at Bolter, and they've had their first year probably wasn't as quick, but like they are growing very quickly, and like seeing the growing pains that like our friends are going through, and being able to picture and forecast. And there's lots of people that have gone through those problems of fast growth, with technology and like shipping getting faster and all these things. You can grow quicker. Like the ability to grow quicker is right there in front of you. You just have to put the cogs in place and it'll happen.
there's also a dangerous element in believing your own bullshit in that.
Absolutely.
Like,
absolutely.
If anyone is starting a business and thinking about budgeting and forecasting and what they're going to do, just don't write it in December straight after Christmas. and sadly, we fell into that trap, and we're coming off the back of Christmas, weren't we? And we sat down in January, and we were like, wow, what an amazing like Christmas period. High five bum sats, we're going to do this. Oh, wow, it's incredible, you know?
Yeah.
And then we believed our own bullshit a little bit. And
Absolutely.
then the start of this year has been a little bit tougher. And that's how business works. But it's come up with its own challenges. But yeah, certainly we're not going to be forecasting again in December, in January, that's for sure.
No, we might
It's
do
nice
it in
to have
July.
those little reality checks, though. You know, like it is so easy.
Nice
to,
is one word.
Yeah, it's beneficial. Let's
Yeah,
say
yeah,
beneficial
yeah.
instead of nice.
In terms of future, like like in the first, like we are working on that production facility, that kind of gets us through the next year from today onwards. Like that'll get us through the next year and then growing that. But in terms of mixers, what's coming soon? Got it, because I
We
know
kind of hinted at it a little bit today,
hinted
didn't
at
we?
it a
Like
little
we
bit.
dropped a couple in there, but well, by the time this is over to Mikey, by the time this is released,
this
are we
is
on?
definitely a Mikey question. So we are right on the cusp of two pretty big SKUs to drop. The first and probably most exciting is our espresso martini. We planned on being on the cusp of this a little bit earlier than we are, but there were some just issues getting it to the standard that we wanted it to be at.
It's
We're
taken
at
how
that
many
standard.
weeks? This was like for us, we'd penciled this in like March to say go for testing and
But
then
we
we'll
started
launch it-
talking in January,
Yeah,
right?
we started talking in January. So it's
but
taken
even
this long.
that was like actively talking in January. This is something that has always been on the front of our minds, you know,
Absolutely.
and like always been part of my mind and my psyche.
I remember you saying this is going to be easy. This will be the easiest one
Because we don't have to deal with fruit. And every time I say that, it just run for the fucking hills. If I say it's going to be easy, just don't listen. And there are so many variables in coffee that I just had no concept of.
We're talking from country to
Like,
roasting
country of
to
origin, roasting, the method of extraction,
the roaster.
the roaster, the company you're getting it from, and all that. And I think we've got all our ducks in a line there at the moment. You know, like we're
We're
pretty
looking good.
happy with the people that we're working with and the ingredients that we're working with, and we're also obviously we're trying to keep it in line with everything else that we're doing. That we are trying to make a premium product.
We
making
want this
it
to be
as-
fucking banging,
Yeah.
right? Like this is our margarita. Our margarita is good. We know that from response. Like people repurchase, and making an espresso martini that lives up to our margarita or sours mix. That's what we're trying to achieve, and that's been the goal all along.
It's going in the core range, you know, and like with all the others, we've done the hard work so it's easy for everyone at home, and that's a beautiful thing about it. And probably more so than the others, you have done the hard yards on this one.
I
right?
have
Absolutely.
definitely lost the most hours of sleep. I have definitely.
Mikey's only 16-year-old. For those that are watching
For those that are watching the videos, only 16.
this, he's aged that much in 2 months.
Yeah, it's been a rough little trot, but everything that's worthwhile is worth sort of digging in for, you know. And I'm really, really happy, as I think everyone is. We're happy with the result that we're at the moment.
100%. It's been that labour of love of getting it there, and there are some certain espresso martini enthusiasts in our crew, aren't there, Tommy?
Absolutely.
And it's passed the espresso martini test for everyone, so we're pretty pumped to release that.
Yeah, there's a lot of things that as a cocktail, like I dread to think how many espresso martinis I have made in my career, and there are a lot of things that for me and for everyone that drinks them, a lot of boxes that need ticking, you know, and we've tried to make sure that we tick all those boxes. And to do that with a product that you take to your house that's got no alcohol in it, and you shake it up with just one alcohol, and you get all the components of it, you know, like you want that that espresso kick, you want to have that that crema on the top of it, like, and we've tried to encompass all those parts in it. And like I said, I'm really proud and really happy of where we've landed with it. So,
when you try it, you will not be disappointed. I can guarantee, like, it is like
It's that good.
Yeah, it's that good. It is very exciting.
What else we got coming?
The next other thing that we're pretty excited about that's in the pipeline, obviously there's always a lot of balls in the air that we're looking at, trying to work on, and not down as to how they can become a Mr. Consistent cocktail. But the one that I'm most excited about at the moment, beyond the espresso martini, is definitely the pina colada.
The sours will move to a second place once pina colada comes out for me.
You like pina
Coladas.
It's everyone's favorite holiday drink, right? Like, we're on the Gold Coast, pina coladas, that's what it's all about,
Sitting
right?
around a pool, just like living your life.
Yeah.
That is where it's at.
And I've always been a little bit on the fence for this one as a drink. As a drink, when it's well constructed and it's well made, I really like it. But coconut anything, like coconut rum or any of the other coconut spirits, for me, taste a little bit like surfboard wax. So
if you're wondering, there's a sex wax is the reference there, is like it's coconut smelling. Like, it's like, it smells like,
it smells like coconut.
But then but it tastes different.
I think that's why I love it. I'm like, this reminds me of holiday and going surfing. Like, as a boy from the northeast of England, when you wax up your board, you go into this like tropical island mentality, even if it's
we need to make you something
snowing sideways on the beach,
We need to make you something that smells like sun cream, and you'll just be over the line. But yeah, like I've always been pretty hesitant on. Are we allowed to, like, negative brand drop? Like, I've always been pretty hesitant on your Malibus and stuff like that. Like, I don't really like those.
It can also be delicious in the right.
It can also be delicious in the right setting.
I love
Malibu.
I honestly, like, I'm on the opposite side of the fence. When I was a kid, that's where I'd spend my money on.
When I was a kid, I drank fucking anything.
Grab a
I've
bowl of
been into
Malibu,
so
pineapple
many.
juice, bang.
Malibu and Surf Stitch are and Stitch Up are amazing.
they're amazing,
That's a great mix.
Jury's out.
Jury's out. Bringing your jury in.
But as far as the perspective of pina colada goes, what we will release, I will be very, very happy with. What we're working towards at the moment, I'm really, really happy with the trajectory we're taking, and the final product will be something that I'm proud of.
Have you had any pinch me moments in this business? Like, we've obviously had a lot as a group, but is there any that stand out to you where you're like, holy shit, this is how does it get better from here? Has there been any of those? Besides the forklift?
The forklift was a lot of fun. Brett Lee posting a picture was pretty epic. As a cricket fan, that was pretty amazing. What else we got? For me, the weeks that we had in November and December last year, where we came off the back of a huge week around the Melbourne Cup time, and then just the build up into Christmas, that was certainly a pinch me moment where I went, I actually don't know, like, I absolutely didn't anticipate us doing these numbers. And then the other side of it, I had my baby in December, and I had to exit the business for a month. I had a baby, so I had to.
We made it very clear you did not get to come in. You are on baby. Like, you
different
need to
priorities.
be there. We're both dads. We were like, you were like, I'll be back. I'll be back in. I was like, absolutely bloody not. That the first year of Lola's life was a bit like one of the best years of my life, and I was like, you need to have that time. You were exactly the same. As like, we got it. We'll handle it. We'll figure it out.
And that was real hard. Like, as someone who I pride myself on leading and going through a team and like managing, directing a team, and for that month, which I knew was going to be our biggest month, it was hard to be out. But that was my pinch me moment where I went, you know what? If the team can go through that with these people in place, we put amazing management structures in place. We put great people in place in the kitchen. Our systems were really good. That was my pinch me moment where I went, if we can do this now, and we weren't actually ready for doing double the volume of what we'd forecast, which was already ambitious.
Yeah.
That was a moment where I went, you know what? This has got serious legs.
Yeah. I don't even like. For me, I think for me was probably Chris, my wife, who's now a general manager, being able to we're in a position, and she was a buying manager, and she getting paid well, and we were like we want to be here on the Gold Coast, we want to be in this business, but she was getting pressure to go back to Sydney, and I don't care where I live, whatever. We went down there for that job, and when we were like we sat around, we chatted with you guys, and we were like, we don't want to go back, but we're getting pressured to go back. This is a fairly big chunk of our income. This is not. How do we see this rolling out? And then when the day she resigned, and the day she became working for us full time, was like all right, we're all in. It's go time. And it was I don't even remember what date it was, but it was probably like a month or two before that kind of happened. That was the pinch me moment. It was like, all right, this is happening. This is a business. We are going for it as a family, as friends, as business partners. We are making this happen. This has to happen. That was
no other option. And that means the good, the bad, the ugly, everything that goes along with it.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Done.
That was a big one for me as well, not necessarily a pinch me moment, but when Carissa came and spoke to me about coming into the team, and she'd been doing heaps for us, but because like everyone else, like everyone's partner, mum, dad, anyone that can help had done their bit. And Carissa came down. It was like a Friday afternoon or something. I was working in the kitchen, and she was like, "Oh, how would you feel about me working with Mr. Consistent?" And I was like, "Don't you already?" And Carissa was in her own right very accomplished woman. She had a great job in a great company and was doing great things. And there were those two big moments. The first was when, not necessarily so much pinch me moments as fuck, this is a thing moments, as when we first spoke about it. We went next door. We were working at the collective. We went next door for a pint and chatted through who Mr. Consistent was, and sort of built that persona of who that character was. And I was like, this is well thought out. This is it's not just me making cocktails and putting them in a jar with a rubber band and a skewer. It's developed
I just wanted
beyond
an
that.
excuse to go for a drink.
And then the other moment when Carissa, who was already doing wonderful things with her own career and her own life and all that, wanted to come and work with us, that was a moment where I was like, fuck, this is actually a thing. But the pinch me moments, I have the pinch me moments all the time, I kind of float about in a little bit of a dream world, and then something will happen and it's big and significant, and go, fuck, this is happening.
Absolutely.
At the Singapore meeting.
Like getting the 35-litre tanks.
Madness.
And then,
Shout out to Ron. He came in.
Shout out to Ron Tong.
He messaged us. He was he messaged us probably 5 or 6 times, and we're like, yep, we're definitely keen. We don't know whether we're there as a business or not. And he's like, guys, I want to come meet you guys. And he ended up coming down here, and we walked him through and showed him what we do. And a week later, we've got a pallet on the way to him. And Ron's going to help us distribute through his stores and some other stores over there. But those things are happening pretty regularly.
Yeah. Well, we're talking about US at the moment somehow.
Yeah.
And there's some major accounts that are starting to shape up where that was like a North Star in 3 to 5 years' time of what we first talked about. And now they're actually happening within a year. They're all just, everything's pinch me moment.
Anyone.
It's pretty surreal a lot of the time, and it's just something you got to occasionally stop and catch your breath and take stock and go, fuck, we're lucky.
Yeah, absolutely. Is there anyone you would is there one person you would love to have a Mr. Consistent cocktail with? Sit down and chew the fat over?
Oh, that's a good question.
Besides Brett Lee.
Besides Binger. Who's yours, Mikey?
Really thought about it.
Are they on air? Are we?
Oh,
are they listening?
Yeah, hopefully. You would hope so.
How far is our reach here? Because I always
as
thought,
far as you want it to be.
Because this is kind of trailing off, which is probably going to happen more and more. But that's when people go, name your ultimate dinner party, and they go, you can have 10 people, and everyone goes, oh, I'd like to have David Attenborough, I'd like to have Churchill and all that. I'd like to have me and Bono and 9 other people who hate Bono as much as I hate Bono. And just rip on Bono all night about being self-right. Let's drop out the next word. About being a self-righteous person like Bono is. Hopefully we don't get the reach to Bono. Fuck it.
I'm sending it to him.
Send it to Bono.
I'm DMing him.
I'm pretty sure at Bono, is that his Instagram handle?
Yeah, I reckon.
For me, I
or
reckon
Carl Stefanovic.
Same scenario, I'd imagine. For me, I reckon someone like Richard Branson, who we'd talk really amazing business with to start off with, and then by the end of the bottle of margarita mix, we'd both be paralytic and have a really, really fun time. Like, I reckon he could party pretty hard.
Absolutely.
So yeah, that would be my gig.
I've never thought about it.
No.
Like, Richard Branson is a very good, and I imagine him to be like that.
Yeah.
You start off and it starts off all fun and friendly, and then next minute you're trolleyed and you're having a rip of time.
Yeah, I reckon that.
If we're talking attainable, like, I've spent most of my life.
Sorry, unlike
Bono wasn't attainable?
but Richard Branson is.
No. I've spent most of my life with Phil Jamieson being my favorite rock star, and we recently had a party that Phil Jamieson played at. I wasn't at the party.
Phil Jamieson is
the
Grinspoon.
Grinspoon,
Yeah. Heavy Cool Heart.
Yeah. And I fucking love Grinspoon. I fucking love Phil Jamieson. So I would love to crack a Mr. Consistent anything with Phil Jamo.
Surely you've got one, Bellsy.
Mine's probably like
Kelly Slater or something. You're scared.
No, mine would definitely be surfing orientated. Mine's probably like more music orientated, like someone like DJ DJ AM or A Track or somebody like that. Like, AM's not around anymore, but like a crazy music, like wizardry person.
Yeah,
like that's
an artiste.
Yeah.
Oh
yeah.
A Track.
Yeah, A Track would be my guy. I think DJ A Track. He'd be the guy I'd like to crack a cocktail with. Because music's my now that I'm not DJing is now my I guess outlet of like creativity or whatever it is. So probably him.
I need to go home and Google who
DJ A Track is.
Are you in the same boat, Mikey?
A little bit.
He's a really good DJ.
Okay, we're on it.
Yeah, we're on it. Anyway, I need another drink, maybe a sours.
I need a wee.
And a sours and a wee.
Yeah, sounds
all right,
good.
And we'll come back. Before we record, we've answered a couple of these questions before. We're going to keep it a little bit tighter than we did by this time in the last podcast.
I haven't got there's not enough hours in the day.
We're sloshed by this time last time.
Yeah.
But there's a couple of questions people have asked. When are we opening a standalone Mr. Consistent flagship bar?
There's kind of half plans to do it, but nothing cemented as yet. We're in a couple of talks, which would be pretty exciting if it happens.
Pop-ups are our thing at the moment.
Yeah, we don't want to be tying ourselves down to one spot.
Yeah, absolutely. We want to be everywhere.
Yeah.
What do you reckon, Mike?
I'm the production guy.
I'll just go shake cocktails where I'm told.
Yeah. It'd be nice. It'd be cool having a Mr. Consistent bar, but yeah, like you say, it's better to be everywhere than one spot.
Let the people talk. Tell us where you want it. Let's go make it happen.
I think the Pack Fair's the closest we've come to it. Like, that was a 2-month stint where we ran a bar. I think that was fun. That was really cool.
That was awesome.
Who gets the most sideways after a margie or 10? Either one of you. Depending on the day.
This isn't even a question. This is all me. It's not so much that I'll get more sideways from one margie than the others. It's more that I have a tendency for one bad decision to lead to another. And my 4 margies.
You're a yes man.
I'm a yes man.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I am definitely. Like I said earlier, I'm the liability of the 3. I am the one that instead of going, oh fuck, I've
yes man, shots guy.
Well,
yeah,
the funny thing is, I actually know who asked that question, and it was a deliberate stitch up because she knows the answer. So to that person, thanks for the stitch up.
Throw me under the bus.
Yeah.
Yeah. See, my problem is instead of going, fuck, I've had 5 margaritas, I should probably mellow a little bit. I go, I have 5 margaritas and I feel this good. Imagine how good I'll feel after 6 or 7 or 10. 10's going to make me feel twice this good.
So here's a good story that we got to share about when we had the restaurant. We did wine. It was supposed to be educational. It wasn't very educational, but we did a wine dinner with all the staff.
You learned lots about each other. That was the educational part.
Yeah. And at the end of this particular one, we had a ping pong table at the front of the restaurant, which turned into everyone's probably played beer pong, but we were playing tequila pong.
Jeremy was like, we can't do beer pong. I can't even remember what your reasoning was, but it was
sure
rational. And then you were like, have you got that tequila still from the other day?
Yeah. So we played tequila pong, and then about half an hour later, you and I hopped on the back of one of the trikes, the electric trikes.
I
which
hopped
we'd had.
on the back of the trike that you were riding.
Yeah.
And then you bailed, and because I weigh more than 3 pizzas, it nearly backflipped. And I was on the back where the pizzas go.
With the trike upright in the air like that.
Doing a full wheelie.
And part of me in between the trike and the ground. And I had a bruise there for like 6 months.
These wine dinners got steadily and progressively worse and worse to the point where Chloe and I were on honeymoon, and I was actually quite disappointed to miss some of them. And this one in particular, we saw videos on someone's Instagram of some kind of Survivor-esque burning of stuff in a flame pot inside the restaurant. And I remember Chloe being like, get on the phone to Mikey. What are they doing?
What is going on here?
I was like, it's wine night. Don't worry.
Wine night.
I remember we tried to sell tickets to them at one stage.
Oh, they would have sold like hotcakes. Anyway, so I think we all get a little bit twisted. I know you've got stories that you probably don't want to put out, but come on.
I don't know. Tom, who's recording this, probably has more. I don't. I remember lots. I'm usually the guy taking the video.
He's usually stitching me up with those Insta clips, sending them to Carissa.
So we're going to do an episode where Jarrad's not hosting, and it's just like all of his mates come in and just like give him
absolutely reef on me.
I reckon we've been here longer than you guys.
Epic.
I've done some bad shit my time, but we'll skip over that.
We all like a good time. Like, it's needless to say, we're in a fun industry. We love a good time.
We love an absolute good time. Anyway, we've got our Never Have I Ever game. I've hand-selected questions that are very apparent to you two. I know you two.
Oh dear. Oh dear. Here we go.
This game is coming out. It is the Shake Up card game, and this is the Never Have I Ever pack. We're going to have a couple of expansion packs, but I'm going to... Do you want me to read our card? You want to choose a card? How do you want to go about this?
Surprise me.
Potluck it.
All right.
Pick a card, any card.
Pick a card, Mikey.
Any card, but not that one.
Am I looking at it? Am I reading it?
Yeah, you pick it.
Snuck into a concert. I've snuck into concerts. I've snuck into concerts I've paid for.
You got kicked out?
Do you mean snuck back in?
No, both. There was, you know when you live places where it's fun to hitchhike and you're getting the bus home, you're like, fuck this is boring, and you get off the bus so you can hitchhike home.
Never been
I've done the same
thing
in my life. It's the same here. I've definitely gone to concerts where you have the ticket and you're like, other people are jumping in, so just do what everyone else is doing, like other mates and stuff. There was one that we were at.
Why? Why? It's so much easier. Yeah, here we go. Thanks very much.
Here's my ticket that walked through.
There was one I went to. There was one I went to years and years ago. It was in like South Bank. I think it was called 5 to Midnight. And Grinspoon were playing. Shout out to Phil Jamison again. We're getting closer and closer to that drink together, mate. We were there and had to go out for something. Probably best not to disclose what, but we had to go out for something, and the security guard at the front was like, "Oh, no pass outs." And I was like, "But it's like fucking 10 o'clock, and this goes for hours."
Half an hour.
Surely there's pass outs. He's like, no pass outs. So we argued for a bit. Did that
Festival,
bit.
there's no pass outs ever.
And this was like in South Bank. And same deal, no pass outs. And then he's like, look, long and the short of it, you can't get out and get back in. I was like, I'm going out. I'll get back
Watch
in.
me.
Yeah. And so we
challenge?
did that, and it was the worst secured concert I've ever been to in my life. You could literally go like 5 meters up from where the security guards were and just jump over the fence. Super easy. And so like, yeah, sick. No, you win, mate. No worries. We'll just go home then. And so we walked out, and then just to be dicks, because we were kids, you know, like that's what you do when you're a kid. So we went out, did our bit, came back in, jumped over the fence, and then walked out. And then just for absolutely no reason at all, but to be dicks, went up to the security guard again and was like, can we get a pass out? And he just, no pass outs. We're like, oh, no pass outs. All right, we'll go back in then.
Have you snuck into a concert?
I'm not cool enough, man. Like, I pay the ticket, walk through. Like, I like if there's an easy route, that's me.
Yeah.
Does everyone remember Festival Hall? Where you
No.
could, I'm showing my age here. Festival Hall in Brisbane, you'd have like the mosh pit bit would sell out first, and then you get the seats on the side. And Festival Hall back in the day was epic. You know, like, they didn't give a fuck about anything. You could literally pass
Sounds like
around
to
a
me
split.
talking about back in the 60s.
Exactly like talking about, but you could literally pass around splits and offer it to security guards, and they'd be like, oh, no, mate, I'm all right. You go have a good night. And you just pass it around to your friends and that. No one gave a fuck.
Festival Hall, it sounds old. I've never stuck into a concert, so you win that card, Mikey.
You're
Jeremy,
on.
You're gonna have a pick.
Can you tell me if it's a good one or not?
Well, I can't see that. I can't see him.
Oh, you can't see?
No.
All right. Go on then. Good one. Gone skinny dipping in public.
Define public.
Yeah. Yes. I don't know
Public, like a beach at nighttime isn't really public.
Yeah, I've done a pool party where it was like everyone, you
We've
know.
all done nudie runs. Surely everyone's
Yeah, but it
done
was like a
run.
nudie run, then jump in the pool, and it was just like, oh, well, this feels pretty good. I'm pretty drunk. This feels pretty good. I'm just gonna keep my pants off.
Off we go.
I did when I first went overseas, we did a white Christmas in Bulgaria. And
Sounds
it was,
cold.
Yeah. And I think it was either Christmas Day or Boxing Day. And it was a white out on the mountain, so there's no snowboarding. So we were just like, oh, fuck it, let's go drinking. And somewhere had told us that there's a hot tub. And so we went to the place next door, and I was wearing, like, it's Bulgaria, fucking Christmas time, like 3 foot deep of snow on the ground. But we
Cold.
were going next door, so I had, like, thongs and a singlet on.
Of course you did.
And,
Thongs is a
and we went
stretch.
there, and then they were like, oh, no, it's the place next door. So we went to the place next door. And then I was like, oh, we're getting further and further away from home. And then like, oh, it's up the road. And I was like, oh, I can handle up the road. And it just kept happening. And we get further and further away from home. And it was more effort to go back than it was to walk out.
Your
and
poor
when we
fucking
went in the
feet.
Where did you get nude in this story?
sit tight. And
It's not wrong.
we went further and further away. And then we finally had the time, and we were like in the hot tub, like drinking champagne and cigars and all that. And then we're like, fuck, we've got to get back. Like, it was easy when we were going from one spot to the next, and they were like, that was heated, and then that was heated, and that was heated. But every time you're outside, it was fucking cold, and then it was nighttime.
You already
It was
won
like,
a card.
and it was like 30 below. And I was like, I got to get home. Like, how the fuck am I going to get home? And I was like, I'm going to have to run. Like, if I'm running, I might as well be nude. So we were in this like relatively posh hotel, and I walked out and I was wearing just a towel into the like lobby of the hotel, and they came over to me to be like, sir, can't wear a towel in this hotel. And I just like threw it and just started fucking running. And we were so far from home, and I got lost, and I was like running through fucking knee deep snow on the way home, and I was like, this is actually how I'm going to die. Like, I'm in the middle of fucking nowhere. I do not know where my hotel is. I don't know how I get back. And like, to the point when you like, you run out of steam, so you're not nudie running anymore. You're just
Yeah.
like walking, trying to find home, and you're in like
Do you know the question
20
was skinny dipping?
Well,
Not really running.
yeah.
Anyway.
Mikey just took that as got my kid off.
Anyway, so I spent about
We're getting the answer to
20
that previous
minutes?
question of who gets loosest.
If you can see, as you can see, this is why this is the second take.
so yeah, about 25 minutes later, I arrived back at our house. Still noon, still very upset about my decisions. And yeah, no skinny dipping in public.
No one's
Moral
ever
of the
upset
story.
about their decisions when they're new. Wait, so
All right, next question.
Jeremy
mine on this.
Oh,
Hang on.
he was the
I pulled the
question.
card. Mine on this is so I used to live on Chevron Island, and we had a hot tub out the back, and we'd go out, we'd have drinks and surfers, and then inevitably go back and get into the hot tub, and it's much easier to get in there naked than it is not naked. So
Finding board shorts,
I don't think it's well. Yeah, but
what?
But who gets in and consciously goes, after a big night out, I'm going to go and put my board shorts on and then get into the hot tub?
Oh, you're feeling heaps better after a night out. You're definitely getting in naked.
Absolutely. So whether it was in public, it was in the confines of our house, but yeah, there was a lot of nudity in our hot tub and Chevron.
Mine's similar. It would have been like a house party or something.
Mm.
Can't remember the exact house party, but it's definitely happened.
You don't generally remember when you're at that point to
Nah,
skinny
you're
dip.
pretty far gone, aren't you?
Yeah.
Pretty far gone.
All right,
Should we
but
hold him and you
Mikey
got
card.
Yeah, you got
Mikey card again.
Mikey was.
I'm doing way better at the cocktail challenge.
He started off wet, so that's where he got the sit. All right. Anyway, we're gonna wrap it up there, but I'm excited. We're gonna do this probably once a month. Get you guys in here, and we're gonna chew the shit, talk all the things, all the struggles, all the fun things that we're doing. Go through our business. We're pretty active on Instagram. You get to see what we do and don't do through there. We share all our stuff. We're probably gonna have staff come on here. Maybe Mikey, we might even get your I know one of the guys in production's way faster than you at making cocktails, so maybe he can do your speed test for you.
Oh,
Speed. Shout out Jez. He always never strains, so he's going to get penalties.
True.
He never strains.
True.
But yeah, thank you guys so much for coming in, and thank you. This has been awesome. I love sharing. I love doing business with you guys. I love sharing our family moments with you guys. It's very refreshing to have people that have the same goals, aspirations, and are aligned moving forward in the same direction. Pretty crazy.
It's awesome. Thanks to the people buying it too. Hey,
Absolutely.
We genuinely humbled, I think, all of us when we're looking at where we are now in comparison to where we were a year and a half ago. None of us expected to be here, and it wouldn't be without both our crew making it and the support of the people out there drinking it and buying it. So genuinely
and posting
thanks.
on it. Everyone that shares how much they love it. I had a insignificant appreciation for how much social media could do for this.
Mikey's Instagram is a picture of a dog. His dog, Steve. Name's Steve.
It's true. But since that, there are so many people out there that are our true believers and that are posting the pictures and doing all that bit for us. And yeah, genuine appreciation to all of you.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, guys. We really appreciate you guys. I appreciate you too. Thank you so much.
Thank
Cheers,
you.
mate.
Cheers. That's today's episode. I hope you enjoyed it. You know the drill. Like, subscribe, leave a review. Go show the Shake Up some love and stay connected. Don't forget you can watch all of our episodes on YouTube. Also, jump over to our Shake Up Cocktail Gang Facebook page where you can find out who's coming up on the podcast. And if you've got questions for them, I'll ask the bloody questions. You can also use the code SHAKEUP for 10% off on mrconsistent.com.au. Thank you so much for listening, and just remember, shit that's fresh.